There are moments in my life that will remain as core memories, and the past 3 years are full of them. I ran a bunch of races, transitioned to college, and traveled a ton. But there was something looming in the background that I couldn't ignore. Something I never saw happening to me. Never in a million years did I think that on top of everything else, I would be struggling with anxiety and disordered eating. This is my story. Hi, my name is Lauren Hubert. I am a college student, I would say. I'm a chemical engineer. I am a YouTuber. I like to make YouTube videos about my life and about being a student and also about being an athlete because I consider myself a runner and an athlete in general. I had a pretty solid early childhood, I would say. Grew up in a small town, South Kingstown, Rhode Island, a very tight-knit community. We love soccer here. Soccer is like our major sport. So growing up, I definitely got into soccer at an early age. Even from a young age, I would say that my favorite moments and memories come from being around my family, being around my grandparents, and just enjoying time with them. Throughout middle and high school, I really found myself developing routines that helped me succeed in school and also playing soccer and trying to balance those two at the same time. I like the predictability of a routine. I really thrive off of a routine, and I think those formative years throughout high school, I really learned that about myself.
Lauren and I started dating in high school. We've known each other for a very long time. We grew up in the same town. I had a crush on her in second grade, and come junior year of high school, I saw her in the hallway, and I'm like, oh, that's Lauren. We started talking and we hit it off, and we've been together ever since.
I had a picture-perfect senior year up to March 13th, 2020. Seriously, you couldn't have written a better story. I've mentioned a lot about soccer. I was captain of the team during our fall season, our big season, and we won the state title, which was absolutely incredible. And then senior year was kind of calm up until March. But once we knew that the 2-week vacation in March was gonna last the rest of senior year, everything kind of fell apart around me. Not a day would go by where I wouldn't end up crying, which is sad, but kind of true. I just didn't know what to do with myself. I thrive off of that routine, and I had for almost 4 years. Now, every day looked completely different. I had no idea what to do with myself, and all of a sudden, I found myself sitting behind a computer screen, trying to attend the last few months of my senior year classes, which was supposed to be like this ultimate moment of graduation, and you're finishing off high school finally, and it just didn't feel like that. And I had no idea what to do with my life. Nothing felt real. You know, just being behind a computer and seeing my teacher in front of me, I was like, am I really even in class right now? I don't know. With COVID and soccer kind of slowing down, starting college, I needed an athletic kind of avenue for myself. So that's how I found running. But I definitely feel like I always need to have some sort of outlet, some sort of way to get my energy out. Looking back, I can now see that it was definitely not a normal experience. We drove in onto campus, and I had to get my COVID test, got my little sticker saying I was COVID negative, and we drove up to my dorm, started unpacking, and it was about halfway through unpacking where I realized I hadn't seen a single person yet. It's not until I sit here now that I realize, like, oh yeah, that's definitely not normal. Back in high school, I was really focused on that routine, and that predictability helped me to succeed. As a creature of habit, during the fall semester, I created a schedule, I created a routine for myself in my head, and I stuck to that. No matter what, no matter what day, what was happening. I tried to stick to like the same routine every day. And I think in some ways that is good. I was able to get my work done. A lot of my classes were online, so having that bit of a schedule helped me to keep doing work and to keep going. But at the same time, I was extremely isolated and I felt very alone and I didn't really know what was going on. Part of that whole routine and structure that I built for myself was becoming very particular with food and with the timing of meals and when not I could eat and what I could eat. And at first, I really didn't see a problem with it. It was a way for me to cope with my situation, feeling very out of control with my surroundings. Throughout the course of the fall, I became more and more restrictive, more and more controlling around my own habits with food and with eating.
I noticed as the first semester of freshman year went on, Lauren seemed a bit off. And as someone who deeply, deeply cared about her, I was very worried.
One day, I remember I got out of the shower and I remember stopping at one of the mirrors this one day and looking in the mirror and not recognizing who I was. I was so uncomfortable with myself, and who I saw looking back at me in the mirror was so scary. I never intended to lose a bunch of weight. I never intended to have this happen to myself. I was just controlling my food and controlling my routine to try to help me get through the day. And I didn't see the physical manifestation of that until this moment where I looked at myself in the mirror. It was at that moment that I was like, something's wrong. This is not supposed to happen. I knew I needed help in that moment. Something that I even look back at now and I don't understand exactly why I felt what I felt, but it was just, I just knew, I was like, I can't eat this, or it's not the right time to have this. It just felt wrong. I guess part of my brain was like, if you do eat this right now, or if you have that French fry, or if you eat something at 3:31 p.m., it's just wrong, and you're not gonna be safe if you do it. Throughout the fall semester, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know exactly what, because I had heard of eating disorders and different types of eating disorders, and truly I didn't feel like I fit into any of those labeled categories. I wasn't trying to restrict food to lose weight, or I wasn't trying to exercise more than my body could handle. I wasn't doing any of those things. It was just restricting and manipulating my food intake was a way for me to feel safe. I was scared to tell somebody and to talk to somebody because it just felt like there would be judgment there. And I didn't know really what to say because I didn't have a label that I felt comfortable using. I didn't know what was going on exactly. But eventually it came to a moment. I was on a walk with my mom. She knew something was wrong. This was at the end of the fall semester, maybe even into the winter when I was back at home. I was struggling so hard and I wanted to tell her so bad. And we were on this walk and I just started crying. And she was like, "Lauren, what's wrong?" Like, instead of like vocalizing exactly what was happening, I told her a story of how a few days prior, I was so hungry and I went into the refrigerator. I opened it up and I was looking for a snack or something to eat. And I saw this yogurt. I tried to like pick it up to grab it to eat it and I couldn't. And like my hand was shaking. I had to shut the refrigerator and I couldn't eat it. Even though I was hungry, I couldn't do it. It was past the normal time that I would eat. It was not what I would normally eat, so I couldn't do it. Well, she got the idea without me saying directly what was going on. That was kind of my first moment of getting help and of telling somebody. When I broke the news to Sam, we were both still living on campus. It was during the fall semester, and we had gone to the dining hall to get dinner.
I had some potato and cheese pierogies.
I hadn't got any. That was not on my list of foods that I could let myself eat. We were sitting back in his dorm eating our dinner, and he turned to me and he was like, "Hey, you gotta try this. It's so good."
And I offered her one and she refused. She couldn't take it. And I asked her why. And she's like,
I can't. And he was like, no, like it's really good. Just try it. Like I have so many. I'll just give you this one. Like it's no big deal. I was like, I can't. like, I can't do it. And I remember Sam being very confused, and
It didn't make any sense at the time. And I was really, really worried at that point. I'm like, what does this mean?
I do remember not exactly knowing, again, how to describe what I was going through, and just being super frustrated with myself of trying to tell Sam what was going on, because I love him and I want him to be in my circle and be able to help me, but I didn't know how to exactly tell him.
Then she kind of went on to fill me in about what was going on in her mind, and I knew this was no joke. This was very serious, and I was extremely, extremely worried for her.
So moving back home was definitely really helpful for me, because I had my mom and my parents with me to kind of support me. And during this time, I was able to talk to my mom a lot more and try to shine light on what I had just gone through during the fall. It was through talking to her that we both decided that I really needed to seek professional help. So I ended up reaching out to URI Health Services directly during that break between the fall and spring semester, and setting up weekly appointments with a therapist through health services. So while I was meeting with this therapist, she also came up with the idea for me to start speaking to a nutritionist or dietitian at the same time. So I reached out to a dietitian on campus and started meeting every other week with her as well. Freshman year of college is definitely when I started becoming pretty serious about running. And it was just because I needed something to do, needed a way to get my energy out. Running was the best way for me to do that. I slowly started to feel more comfortable with it and really started enjoying it. I decided it would be a great idea to sign up for my first half marathon in the spring of my freshman year. It was a pretty difficult training process. I had never done anything like it before, and I was dealing with a lot of the stressors from my freshman year of college. And I remember on race day that food timing, it never crossed my mind. It was definitely one of the brightest moments in the early days of my journey. I was definitely bitten by the racing bug, and I signed up for my second half marathon happening in the fall. I signed up for it the night of my first half marathon. So come race day, I think I crushed it even more. So the spring semester ended. During the summer, I spent a lot of time training as well, just running, cycling, again, keeping that same exercise routine that I had. As the summer came to a close and sophomore year was about to start, I was still definitely struggling, and I was still panicking, and I had crazy levels of anxiety, and I was still controlling my food and all of these things, and I still wasn't happy. As I was about to experience another huge transition, moving back into school, I realized that I needed some more help. So through talking with my therapist, my doctor, my parents, we decided that medication might be the best thing for me to try, even though I had been really resistant to it in the past. We thought that this would be a good opportunity and maybe the best thing for me to try. So that's what we did. Sophomore year kind of flew by. It was an absolute whirlwind. So it was approaching summer before I knew it. And I knew I wanted to do something research related. I learned about this program going on at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. So I don't know exactly what made me apply to this random program at Vanderbilt. But after applying and waiting a few months, I heard back and I was accepted. Before I accepted the offer, I had a huge decision to make. So it was either stay at home in a comfortable place with the same structure and routine, same surroundings I was used to, or go to Nashville, Tennessee and pursue this program there at Vanderbilt, experience the summer full of unknowns, but it could potentially be an amazing thing. It definitely helped having Sam and my family give me a little push and be like, no, you can do this. Like, just try it. You can do it for the summer. It'll be a ton of fun. So I accepted the offer to Vanderbilt, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. Over that summer, I found my stride. I met amazing friends. I explored a new city. I did some really cool research over at Vanderbilt. I ate a bunch of extremely good food, including a Nashville hot chicken sandwich. And I even impulsively ran my third half marathon in the Nashville heat. It was one of the hardest experiences of my life, but it was a ton of fun.
I believe Lauren's our second overall female in the half.
No way.
First in her age group. Official time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, 25 seconds. Not too bad, Lauren.
Thank you. I came back home knowing that spending my summer in Nashville was definitely the best decision I could have made, and I felt more ready than ever to start my junior year.
You look so sad. Come on now, mama. Ain't nothing here so late. You got fast car.
Junior year began, and I honestly felt the best I had in a long time. I felt comfortable with myself, I felt safe within my own body, and I was able to tackle one of the hardest, if not the hardest, academic year that I had experienced thus far. It was now winter break, and at this point I had grown my social media and mostly YouTube following to a pretty good extent, and I learned that one of my favorite companies was taking applications for their ambassador program. So, kind of like Vanderbilt, on a whim, I just applied, and I ended up getting accepted into this program. On the first Zoom call we had as a team, the team leader brought up that they were having an ambassador weekend, which was kind of like a 4-day event in Austin, Texas, leading up to the Austin, Texas marathon and half marathon. I really wanted to go. The problem was it was taking place like 3 weeks from that initial Zoom call. There was still a part of me that wanted to play it safe and maintain some structure and not miss any class, keep my routine, and stay at home. But that didn't last for long, and after talking to Sam and my parents, I impulsively bought plane tickets to Austin, Texas. And in the same night, I signed up for the Austin Half Marathon. The whole reason I knew about BPN was from Nick Bear's YouTube channel. I've been following his journey for years now, and during the event, somebody actually asked him about his own journey and story with an eating disorder, and he shared a pretty powerful story.
If I could pinpoint it to anything, it would just be having control. If I look at my life since I had an eating disorder, it's been both a strength and weakness to be able to control things very rigidly, in terms of building a business or doing a prep or sticking to a diet. I am really good at controlling certain variables in order to reach a goal and obsessing, which is probably why I was pretty successful at having an eating disorder. While I have a healthy relationship with food now, I still have that tendency to control things. Before I was like, this thing happened, I don't know why it happened, but it did happen, and now I'm over it. But now I'm getting more curious, the order I'm getting of, well, why? And I think a lot of it is because I'm a father now, and I have this daughter. She turned 7 months old yesterday. But when she's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and she's watching me change my order to hit certain calories for a meal, what impact will that cause? Now I'm starting to think, well, what can I look out for? How can I help?
After hearing him share his story, I was almost in tears because I felt like I really wasn't alone. After that, we finished off our first day in Austin by hanging out with more people at the BPN gym. Day 2, we woke up super early and went for a 3-mile shakeout run in downtown Austin, Texas, with hundreds of other runners. Later that day, we had a workout at the VPN gym again, sponsored by the company Garmin, which was super cool. Day 2 was extremely intense. So day 3 was all about rest and relaxation. I tried to recover as much as possible for the big race day. I really felt like this race was gonna be more significant than any of the other half marathons I'd ever run, because this was the first race that I really felt the most physically and mentally ready for. Before the race started, I just remember being really focused and getting in the zone. I didn't really have any pace goals or any time goals. My main goal for this race was to finish it and prove to myself that I could do this.
I was feeling very confident for Lauren to go in and crush this race, but there was still a little part in me that was saying, what if? I had to put that to the side and just tell myself, listen, whatever happens, happens. Lauren's gonna keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward.
But I remember that first half of the race feeling physically okay, but mentally the best I had ever felt in a race. I was just so happy to be there, was taking in all the scenery. As the halfway point kind of came and went, the rolling hills really started to come into play. And I remember feeling so physically drained that even my positive attitude towards the race, it couldn't keep up with it. The last thing I wanted to do was to stop running. One foot in front of the other. Just keep going, you can do it. Just keep running, keep jogging. And then the mile 10 hill came, and I tried so hard to get up that hill while still running, and my body physically just stopped, and I started walking up the hill. If I would have stopped to walk in any of my previous races, I would have been so disappointed in myself, because walking was weakness and was a sign that I couldn't do it and I couldn't finish the race. But at this point in this particular race, I realized I was still moving and I was still putting one foot in front of the other, and that was still a victory. I kept pushing through, I kept going, I found my pace again and started running. After crossing the finish line, I just felt this overwhelming wave of emotion cross over me.
You fucking did it!
When she crossed that finish line, so incredibly proud of her for accomplishing something that she had set out to do. When I locked eyes with her after she had finished the race, at that point, it felt like she had crossed the threshold.
Oh, I'm tired. Look at that. I did it. The tears aren't an indication of sadness at all. That was a lot. That was a lot. I knew that I had just done that, and I just ran that race. I did something that was extremely difficult for me. I was so proud of myself. I was able to prove to myself that I was kind of out of the hole. I can confidently say that I am the best I've ever been mentally. I am the happiest I've ever been. I'm the most confident I've ever been. I'm truly looking forward to all my future plans and future goals, and I know that one way or another, I'm gonna be able to achieve them. This is not to say that I still don't experience the same anxiety I felt or the same disordered eating thoughts and tendencies that I had before, felt before, thought before, but I feel like as long as I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, I'm gonna be okay. To anybody out there who feels deep down like there's something wrong, like you're experiencing anxiety, depression, disordered eating to any extent, you are not alone. You are safe. There are people around you that love you and want to help you and will not judge you at whatever step of the journey you're on. I didn't know how to describe what I was going through, but I still tried to reach out to those who I love and who love me, and I was able to find help, and you can too. You will be able to. You will not regret asking for help.
If you know somebody who's struggling, you can be that person, that support system that helps them move through the process, because they need any and all emotional support that they can get. And as someone who saw somebody very, very close to me, somebody that I love deep down, go through something like this, it's extremely hard to watch.
A good place to start to reach out if you're in college like me is to go through your own university's health services and the resources available to you on campus. If not, there are platforms like BetterHelp and other online places that offer teletherapy. As someone who did teletherapy, I can definitely say that being able to be in your own room or a place that you feel comfortable is really nice when you're trying to discuss these hard topics and things that you're going through. If I were to sum up my journey in the past 3-ish years, I would say to remember that progress is not linear, but it's important to try to keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. If you need to live your day hour by hour, minute by minute, that's okay. And be kind to yourself. You are worth it. We are all worth it, and we are not alone.